Just start whenever.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
I'm Tony, and we are from the Rock and Roll Freak Show, and this is Volume 2 of our DVDs.
This was filmed at the Capitol Ballroom on February 14th, 1998. We're actually going back roughly 10 years from the last Volume 1 that we put out.
We thought this would be a nice retrospect so you can see where we are, where we were, and all the DVDs after these will kind of fill in the gaps between and also be some other surprises all throughout.
Now, while this isn't the best quality footage, we do have footage from two different levels of the club. One from an upper deck and one from right down in front of the stage.
The lower stage one you'll actually see, which is the second one, you'll see a little bit of the setup and you also see a little bit of the club, but I got to warn you, this is shot on VHS. It's over 10 years old, so the quality has lost a lot.
And in this film you're going to see members that we don't have anymore, which is Brian Roberts and Azure, who is no longer with us.
The show here is actually Brian's last show that he did with us. Long story short, his parents found out what he actually did and were not approving of it, so he said he'd do one last show, this being this one that you're going to watch, and that was actually his last one. Brian's major contribution for the show was the human dartboard, where pretty self-explanatory, just kind of throw darts, they stick in his back. So you'll see that on this.
And it's a trick neither one of us ever care to perform ourselves.
Nah, we decided since Brian retired, let the trick retire with him, let him go out in a blaze of glory. No need to overshadow him, because we had other great things further down the line, such as El Tigre, which you'll see, which was probably not born for about another 4 years after this one.
Right. Now, their stage had a special meaning for some members of the crew.
Probably about a few months before this show, I'm a huge Butthole Surfers fan, and the stage actually, this is the same place I saw the Butthole Surfers, so we were walking around backstage, and I was like, is that the stage? And the stagehand was like, yeah. I was like, can I go on the stage? And he's like, yeah, why? And I was like, ah. So I went up on the stage, and I was like, everybody, do you know what stage this is? This is where Gibby stood, this is where Paul stood, and everyone just kind of looked at me like I was a total ass. But then we went to the backstage area, which was really nice because the promoter at the time, Octavio, really took care of us.
Yes, he did. He provided us with food and copious amounts of alcohol, which we took full advantage of.
Okay.
Also, backstage, there was another sideshow performing group called Wax. Their major contribution to the entertainment for the evening was a bed of nails act where they broke a concrete block on the other one's chest and they used needles a lot.
They would put two needles. One trick that I remember that I was really blown away is the lead singer drank like a beer on stage and put one hypodermic in one cheek, another hypodermic in another, injected out, and then shot the crowd with beer. But then decided to, since he was kind of drunk and high, they completely bled out on stage also. Very sloppy.
Yeah, they also made sure that they had their own room with a do not enter and a huge block of marijuana in their stuff. Needless to say, we had them running scared after our set.
We did not take part in the marijuana.
No. And Tony, you also had a pretty long night that night.
Yeah, with Brian living up in Delaware at that time, this show being in D.C., I actually had to pick up Brian that night, head up to Delaware, head back to D.C. The show got out around 2, and after a long night of drinking and then loading my car up, I realized that my car got broken into. Someone punched the lock of the trunk. So of course I had to find a cop at 2:30 in the morning, smelling like alcohol, and of course, since this being 1998, I was still under the age of 21, which they kind of frowned upon, so got a cop. He said there's nothing really to do, gave me some slip of paper and said, yeah, dude's car got broken into. From there, we drove up to Delaware, dropped Brian off, probably around 4 in the morning. I got home just in time to see the sun come up that night, so it was a really long and intense evening for me, but good nonetheless, because watching this video, it was like, wow, I barely remember half of that stuff, because there's a lot of tricks in there that we don't do anymore. Like, you'll see one that I do, the human wrecking ball. It's one of those tricks, like, at the time, it was really clever, but now I look back at it, I'm like, I don't think I want to do that one anymore.
And this is actually one of the few times where a thing we did called the bulimic food fight actually made it onto a video. And you'll hear me mention that we were filming our video that night, and here it is, 12 years later.
Yeah. Bulimic food fight, great thing in concept and on paper. When the actual execution of it came out to be,
not so good.
No.
not so good at all.
So there are two painful things watching back the video, because I think right before we shot this we had to watch the video again because, like I said, it's been 12 years since either of us has seen this. So just kind of refresh our memory. And there's two quotes in this video that still pain me. Two of them are pretty much what Brian says. Brian has a speech where he's like, "All right, everyone, back up. You might want to back up for this one. You don't need to back up. We were on stage. The fire's not that big. It's controlled."
I don't have anything else, do you?
No, I think that's it. I think we can just let them watch. Remember, there are 2 copies of this show.
Yep.
So, first one, upper deck. Second one, lower deck. Stick around. After the second show, there's a little bit of footage of the club. Once again, it's poor. There's a pie throwing booth set up, and there's a very small, like, second and a half of the backstage area. And then somehow some footage from the Philly show snuck on here, which will be on a later volume.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. So sit back, enjoy.
Let's watch some goddamn freak show.
That's right.